Fool's Errand got started shortly after we finished the first film. Hal and I got together and talked about what it would be like to make a second one, what the story would be about, and we started to kind of put together a treatment. And so I went over to Webb's house and talked to him a little bit about the idea of doing a sequel.
He says, I don't want to scare you or anything, but how would you feel about maybe a sequel? I mean, he was really tiptoeing around it. He was kind of scared.
He just shook my hand and said, okay, I only have one stipulation. You have to make it awesome.
I said, well, if we're going to do it again, but let's do it better.
Each movie has to top the next one somehow.
And well, they came back with it. In fact, they came back with a story so long that they had to split it in two.
I had the idea in my head that I was going to write the sequel. I can't remember how that got started, but that was what I knew pretty much from the first day we shot the first film.
The story actually started getting incredibly long in the script writing process that we found that we had to divide it into two films. So we actually have Fool's Errand, and then we have the third installment, which will be coming out later.
I started coming up with treatments for the second film. Some of them were really out there. At one point we wanted to make Bendine the villain. Bendine faked his own death, faking it that he burned himself to death. He was going to come back later, but he would have no hair. That Bendine had been kidnapped, and this was going to be an outer space leather bar, where I would have been shirtless in this leather vest and have pink hair sticking straight up. It'd be a scene where I was on the Raven's Claw and I was gonna have just come out of the shower and Jan was going to comment about how I looked like a wet Wookiee. In my original treatment, I had it start out with Bendine and Kit training at the Jedi Temple. And then Joel looked at that and he said, "No, I don't like that. I don't want to go back to the Jedi Temple right now." And so the movie was just going to start out with Kyle and Jan in the ship. Then a month or two later, Joel comes back to me and says, we should do a scene at the beginning where Bendine and Kit are training at the Jedi Temple to tie it in with the first film. And he would say it to me as if I had never come up with the idea before. I get no respect.
Fool's Errand introduces some new characters. We have Jonas Belot, who is a weapons dealer. Well, he was a weapons dealer back in the days of the Empire. But of course, the Empire is kind of going away at this point in the Star Wars storyline. And so he's pretty much just stuck on this planet selling spice, not making the greatest living that he used to. We also get to be introduced to a character known as Celise, who is a slave to Jonas.
I wouldn't say Celise thinks she's more evil than anybody else. She's just more driven than other people, and that her morality is based on her past. And so the good and the bad she does, she sees in different reference terms than other people might see good and bad.
Elizabeth was one of my first picks because she's just got such a great attitude. She's a huge sci-fi fan. She really understands the world. She's a fantastic actress and can really put a lot of interesting emotion into the character. And obviously, if you've seen the film, there's something going on with Celise that we don't quite understand and we don't quite know what's going on. She's a little mysterious.
Jan in this movie, we get to see some of her personality, some of who she is, some of her relationship to Kyle, and of course her personality is more explored through her relationship with Bendine. She's a really fantastic character that is underplayed in the comic books and in the video games, so it was exciting in this film to get to expand on that character.
It's kind of odd when you're writing your own character. Most people would try to write themselves to play the hero, the noble character, and I wanted to turn my character into the biggest you could imagine.
Well, we didn't really, there's not a lot of his background that we really know. He's just kind of a brand new character. It's something that Joel wrote into the script, and we don't really know a lot about him. I think a lot of him is being somewhat of an orphan or something like that. I mean, we don't know anything about his parents or how he got to the academy or who really found him. I mean, I kind of assume that Bendine did it, but other than that, he's just kind of a wandering character who became a Jedi, and that's all we really know about him.
Hi!
He's everywhere.
You're doing a great job.
He's everywhere.
He's doing a great job.
Who else is under there?
Oh, Hal. Well, Brenda's holding me up, and then Hal's on the bottom.
There's a party under my butt, and I don't even know who's there.
It's cool.
Okay.
Let's go get a beer.
Wait, come on. Let me get down.
You want to get one? There.
Hey,
there you
guys.
go. Hi.
Hey.
Wow.
Hey.
Wow, that's...
That's good. That's how we do it.
Down here.
That's how we do it.
Hey, Java juice.
Oh, Joe, send,
Down here.
catering.
Main bar.
Since that was one of my first goals, to try to bring as much humor into this story as I possibly could.
In real life, Hal and I get along brilliantly, and we laugh and we joke, and he makes stupid jokes, and I laugh at them.
And that was one of the reasons why I had Jan and Bendine spend so much time with each other, because I like this idea of these two characters that really don't get along at all.
He'll say rude things to me, and I have to respond rude, and really I think it's the funniest thing he's ever said.
And at first I didn't even have a reason in my head for why they didn't get along. It was just sort of, it'd be nice if Bendine was a bit of a jerk like that.
But it got easier. As the filming went on, I started to channel Jan more and more in her relationship to Bendine, so now Hal and I don't get along at all, and we're gonna need therapy to get back to where we were before this film, and it's all their fault. I just need a minute.
Fool's Errand, scene 1, take 1.
The opening sequence, first fight sequence, floating lightsaber. Had to go through a lot of training for that through Will, who was our stunt trainer, or his nickname is Void. A lot of people call him as Void. He had a lot of training, military background, stuff like that. So Joel asked him to help us, or to teach us like a lot of the sword fighting. So the first couple sessions, I know nothing about sword fighting. It's just the basic, blocks, attacks. These are your areas of movement, things like that.
Yeah, we went back to the old stomping grounds, and Kevin Herman, man, he tore it up with that stick.
Okay, I'm actually supposed to pretend that there's someone there that I'm fighting, and there's nobody. I mean, that entire sequence, I'm fighting air. That's all it is. There's nothing there. I'm not connecting with anything. I'm just swinging a stick around.
Did look kind of goofy, people walking by and seeing Kevin going.
The high for that day was something like 112, 113 degrees.
Poor Kevin. I mean, the guy is out there in that, that full Jedi outfit, which is black, mind you, with, vinyl on it. I mean, it couldn't be any less breathable if we had tried. And then we're like, oh yeah, by the way, can you lie on the ground? We need you to lie on the ground for a little while. And, it's like concrete, which must have been like 200 degrees down there.
I think my adrenaline was going well enough that I didn't even think about it being hot until afterwards.
Obviously, in the end, it looked pretty neat with the floating lightsaber effect. And as far as I know, I don't think anybody has done complete CG lightsaber done before. So I thought that was pretty neat, kind of breaking some ground there. Well, there's a small little spot in Tempe. It's called Fountainhead Parkway, and it's this tiny little park that's in front of some business complex, and they I guess they have it for smoke breaks or for the people who work in that building. Well, we kind of snuck in the back, and we were able to film there all day, and nobody came and kicked us out. So I guess it was okay. I don't know. I haven't gotten arrested yet.
I've been in theater for a long time, so kissing scenes are a big deal to me. They're just a character thing you do, and it helps that Kevin's cute.
It doesn't matter, how experienced or professional you are. Kissing scenes are always a little, kind of dangerous to play with. They always make you nervous.
Kevin was really fun to work with. Like, hi, Kevin. Oh, so we'll be making out later. Okay. You kind of need to get to know that person really fast and be able to be comfortable with them. And thank goodness, Kevin's a really easy guy to be comfortable with.
We had never met except for the first day when the entire cast got together and had our first read-through. It was the only time we had met. So I pretty much just met this girl, and we're supposed to do a kissing scene.
First kiss was actually pretty funny. It was, they were kissing. It was going up and out of camera. They were all getting into it, I guess. I don't know.
And I remember we kept moving up. There's a lot of takes where you're like, stop, you're out of the camera. Like we start here and it would end up and this is all you see left of the camera.
We have all these scenes where she's kissing guys, and we never have a scene where she's kissing me. What's the point of writing a scene if you can't write your own good kissing scenes? What? What is the point? What is the purpose?
I swore up and down forever that we would not film a fan film in a forest. Most fan films are filmed in a forest for lack of budget, whatever. We shot in one anyway. Oh well.
Flagstaff.
We needed to take an entire crew up there. So what we decided to do was make a camping trip out of it, which was a blast.
And I hadn't been camping in probably since I was 14.
We went up and we had this huge group of people and we had 5 carloads
Had walkie-talkie systems and, like all the jokes about, hey, Red 5 coming in, it was really bad on the way up there.
Okay, so we've been driving for about, an hour now, maybe an hour or so. I'm not really sure how far we've traveled yet. Do you know what the name of this rest area is? What we really needed is the fuse in Webb's car for the Xbox was broken. And we had to stop. We had to stop to get that fixed, because otherwise the rest of the trip would have been hell.
So we went up to Flagstaff for 3 days. It was a weekend trip, which was really awesome because, of course, it was really hot down in Phoenix, and to do this in the middle of June was, perfect timing.
It looks like a cult, but it's really not. Trust me. It'll get worse later, but it's really not a cult.
And we set up this huge campsite, and it was just like this amazing party out in the woods for a couple of days while we'd occasionally go off and shoot, and the rest of the time we played cards and ate. It was a brilliant, brilliant trip.
As soon as everybody's finished getting everything completely set up right now, what we're going to do is I'm going to hand over the Jonas guards to you and Mick, and you guys... What's that?
She is one of the guards.
Well, yeah.
Myself, too.
The other two. The other two, Webb and I are going to go... We're going to go scouting up here just a little bit, just looking around.
Okay.
Just taking a look at the area, just seeing what we can find, and then that's pretty much it for today.
It was tough because we had a general idea of what we wanted to do when we got up there. You can't plan for that because, you never know what the forest is going to look like when you get there.
You must be careful in the meadow. There's no cover from the hunters.
We camped out under the stars, basically. It was pretty cold.
So we were all huddled around a propane lamp, in a big circle. It was kind of silly.
It was like camp for grown-up dorks.
We sat around, and Webb and I would go through storyboards, or what little storyboards we had, because a lot of it we figured we'd have to make up when we got there based on the location.
But yeah, I don't really have any real enemies in this film. I just kind of, fight the air a lot because, again, fighting those guards, I'm just kind of, hitting bullets that aren't really there. So I'm just swinging my stick through the air again. So hopefully I'll get a real enemy sometime soon.
I actually spent most of it sleeping because my only responsibilities in the Flagstaff shoot were to and then I put on the slave girl outfit and I ran up a cliff and didn't say anything. So it was very relaxing to me. I think I brought 3 books and finished them all.
Now, we filmed some other stuff in Flagstaff, but I can't tell you about that because that's going to be in part 3. Spirits of the Forest, all that we did was we had like 3 or 4 scenic flats in the back of Studio C, Cranston Upholstery, and that was Kyle's bedroom, and that's really all we did. But for Fool's Errand, we went all out.
But what we would do is we would start on a Wednesday night. We'd get the crew together, and we would actually paint all the flats.
We are back at the Cranston Upholstery Warehouse, where loads of furniture gets restained and recovered and all that good stuff. And we have Christy and Rob over here getting the flats ready for the bar scene, doing some texturing work.
And then that Saturday, we would spend the entire day actually setting up the flats, setting up the walls the way we want them. And then we would dress the set with chairs, tables, the bar itself, things like that.
Payphone of the future. Take you through what we've been building here today. This is the Lapin Agile, or the Star Wars Tap Cafe. Just take you through some of the set pieces here. These booths we found in a back alley, and we repainted them black. They're supposed to be in a scuzzy bar anyway, so we left them kind of dirty. Worked out pretty well. We built a table. We're currently working off of it right now, but that will be the table that we use for when we sit down. We just got some random Star Wars looking stuff on the wall. That tends to look more like a boombox, but whatever. It was an accident. This actually spells Lapin Agile, and if you've ever wanted to know what that is, there's a Steve Martin play called Picasso with the Lapin Agile, and it's absolutely hysterical, and it takes place in a bar. And so that's my little homage to Steve Martin, because him and I have the same birthday. Built 2 wood box frames here, put on either side. We put some spacers in there, and some plywood, and that makes our shelving. Pretty soon we'll have this covered entirely in bottles. Again, another Star Wars doohickey. These are actually off my grandmother's water heater. As we were replacing it, I popped those off because I thought they looked cool.
I hope she doesn't need that again.
No, I hope not either.
And ultimately what we would do then is go home, get a good night's sleep, come back the next morning, and we would shoot all of Sunday. And then that night, we'd have to tear it all down because Cranston Upholstery, where we shot the films, had to open to the public again.
So I thought the most hellish one was when we did the bar scene.
The set was beautiful and the scene was beautiful, and it was in the middle of the summer in Arizona in a warehouse that only had evaporative cooling. And the scene came out beautiful, which I'm very pleased that the scene came out beautiful, because at the time we were just slap happy. There's a whole section in the middle about him.
And I'm a Wookiee's uncle.
Give me the line. We haven't done this in like 6 hours.
And deliver this really complicated exposition about this planet means this, that planet means that, when your brain is oozing out your ears.
Like I said, I'm looking forward to filming, Brenda.
Used to run
That word
what?
is up.
I got an idea. I'm just gonna let this roll.
You ran up.
It was Helen, Joel, and I, and we're sitting there just cracking up because we're so hot and we're so tired, and the weather is just ridiculous.
Line again, or are you okay?
Oh, Lord, I don't know.
I'm just tongue-tied.
Tongue-tied? She's small-cocked and tongue-titted.
Okay.
I believe it was intended for a local trader named Jonas Belote.
We believe it was intended for a local trader.
I could not remember my lines after a while. And I wrote the darn things, so I don't know how anyone else made it through that scene.
I got a lightsaber, Missy.
We're still rolling, right?
He was trying to say something about, if you elect me as president.
And if you elect me, I will stop Jonas's reign of terror.
We elect you.
Elect me.
But what I heard was, if you lick me, and I cracked up, and Joel and I cracked up.
Yeah, like we're gonna be able to do the scene now.
Oh, man, I'm crying. This is not cool.
And actually, in the shot we used, my eyes are a little red and a little watery, and it looks like I'm tired. It's actually because I was laughing hysterically just before it happened and couldn't stop laughing. We had to take like 5 takes after that.
Oh, my God.
But that's just kind of the trials and tribulations of making a fan film.
1, 2. I forgot 3.
We said, you know what? Let's build a cockpit of the Raven's Claw. I mean, how cool would that be?
Some of our interior sets, like the Raven's Claw, had to stay up longer because it would have just been too difficult to pull down and then reassemble the following week when we needed more shots.
And the Raven's Claw was a really neat set.
What we have here today is the blue screen set. This is a brilliant design by Joel, and the idea is we film, see blue in the background, and then we say, hey, wait a minute, we need another angle. So
And what we did is we actually put casters on the set, so the whole set was movable. So what we would do is we would set up for one camera angle, and we would have it in a way that, you would see the blue in the back, and then we would say, okay, that's good for that angle. We'd rotate the whole set around, keeping basically the camera in about the same position, and then get the other angle. So it was basically a revolving set.
it's brilliant. Otherwise, you'd have to have like blue all the way around, and it's like a lot of paper. I don't feel like it's that enough.
It was kind of weird because we left the Raven's Claw up, and decorators would come in the back door to pick up their furniture or to drop off furniture, and they'd see this big spacecraft sitting in the back of the shop.
We took tons of screenshots, and then we actually sat down and we replicated the control panel right out of the video game. So, when you're looking at the control panel, you might think it's a little plain, a little simple, but that's out of the video game, right out of the game. Can't get any more authentic than that.
Neat buttons that I got to play with and figure out what to push and what to turn and what to flip and what not to touch because it could fall off the board. One time, Joel and I are responding to this fictional Mon Mothma that isn't really there, and Kevin's head pops over the dash of the Raven's Claw.
Greetings, Jan. Kyle.
So after that, anytime Kevin's voice would come up, we had trouble focusing again.
Well, there aren't a lot of caves in the Phoenix area that I know of, and not caves that you could do for free.
Hole in the Rock is actually a part of Papago Park, which is in Tempe, Arizona. It's right by the Phoenix Zoo.
And what we decided to do there was just film the hole from certain angles to make it look like a cave.
And it's really magnificent if you've never seen it. It's basically this beautiful mountain that you can see right through. It's kind of like somebody drilled a hole right through it.
It's a hole in a rock.
You walk down this little flight of stairs, and then there's like this kind of half cave because it's open to the city, so you can actually see the whole city.
It was really hot.
It was like 115 degrees. It was hot.
And they're like, okay, you're gonna just lay on these rocks for a little while.
At one point they had to lay on the ground, and it was just burning rock that they had to lay on.
I'm burning from the bottom because the rocks are hot like a hot plate, and I'm burning from the top because the sun is hot like the sun.
I'm just a mean director, and I made them do it anyway.
And I'm dirty, and I'm hot, and I'm sweaty, and they're like, okay, we just have like 15 more things to shoot. And I'm like, oh, I hate you all.
Trying to fall in a way that's convincing without injuring yourself.
I mean, it was just brutal. I mean, I felt so bad, but, you know, I'm sitting there directing in shorts and a wife beater, you know, because I didn't know if we were ever going to get to do the shot again. Unfortunately, we did get to go back later and do some reshoots, and when we did it that day, it rained, so...
Actually, it was a really neat set. It was very pretty simple. We only had enough flats, though, to build 1, 2, 3 and like a quarter of the walls. So we really had to cheat a lot of the angles. Anytime, like when we're filming in one direction, obviously the walls are there. But anytime we needed to film a reverse angle, we actually had to pivot all the props in the room to the opposite side so that it looks like we're actually facing the other direction. So we did a lot of cheating.
Higher, please. Okay, as you'll notice, we had to use this to actually get the costume on to stay on. So I'd like to apologize in advance to Nola Jurgen, the costume designer.
My original fight scene was supposed to be opposite Nathan, who we have this long history of, we've been beating up on each other since before the movies, and we have this very contentious relationship. He's one of my best friends in the world, but I would beat him up with no qualms.
Good friend and cast member Nathan was actually in the hospital with pneumonia and couldn't do the fight. He was originally scripted to do the fight, couldn't do it, and I just jumped in and said, hey, I'll do it. You know, I'm big. I kind of look like a thug. You know. Well,
then I ended up fighting Webb, who was like the sweetest, kindest, gentlest, smiliest man, and so having to try and like look at him like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fight you now. It was ridiculous.
Check this out.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling Brenda, you know, kick me harder, you know, punch me harder, whatever. Just, you know, I wanted it to look real.
Derek,
she doesn't have very good aim.
Yeah,
and I'm
okay, so that's...
I want more kids, so we're taking all precautions.
Did this happen once in practice already, or too close?
Too close for comfort.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was just like, no, I want to hug you and maybe, you know, take you to dinner, but not kick you in the stomach.
It was also the first time I really got to, act. I don't know if you want to call it that, but I tried to act anyway.
This is so cool. I'm getting a tattoo.
Yeah. Hey, is that washable?
I cannot fight at all. I'm probably the least physically coordinated person on these movies. I wrote this whole scene for Bendine, the Jedi Master Badass, to get in this climactic fight at the end of the movie. And I had no clue how I was going to do it. Thankfully, Void was very helpful, and he's really good at falling down and making it look like I'm really kicking his ass, so that helps a lot.
We practiced, got Void and Brenda together, and, you know, went over some choreography and worked it out, and it was a lot of fun.
This one says Baridium or Baradium, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It's the stuff inside thermal detonators, so highly explosive stuff.
Well, all of the barrels say the same thing. They all say Baradium, except for one. So you have to find the barrel that's not like the others. It's like a Sesame Street game.
This is a
There's some leakage coming out of that
In
one
homage
too.
to the first film.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out what it says. And I'm not going to tell you what it says.
Okay, we got rid of the cargo hold. So guess what? That's a wrap on principal photography for Spirits of the Force 2 Fool's Errand.
Yeah!
Yeah, Spirits of the Force has been an incredible project for me to work on. I mean, working with Joel, with Hal, Brenda, I mean, the entire cast and crew has been fabulous.
Yeah, those were good times.
Everyone on this film was a family.
All in all, it's been a good experience.
It's been the most fun I've ever had, and it's the most aggravating experience that I've had.
It's been exciting. We've got to do a lot of things that I always wanted to do but never thought I'd get the chance to do.
It didn't really matter ultimately what you argued about one day, because the next day you were shooting again, and it was forgive and forget. It's like fighting with your little sister. You know, you'll slam the doors, and then tomorrow, you know, you'll be outside in the backyard playing. You know, it's that kind of a family on this particular shoot.
It's just an excuse for some nerdy friends to get together and dress up. We just really wanted a reason to dress up in funny costumes.
What we're doing is we're telling a very serious story, but at the same time, we're not taking ourselves too seriously.
So now that Fool's Errand is done, you know, it's great. We can put a DVD out. We can give a really neat DVD to all of our cast and crew, which will include this featurette. And then, we can call this project done. And all we have left is one more.
So just have fun. Have fun, and it'll go well.
It's a lot of work, but at the end, when you look at that final result, and you sit back and you're like, this is a fun movie. This is just a lot of fun. And it really makes it all worth it.